the EU Commissioner for Social Affairs and Employment, who also joined us, I think, just after 6 o'clock. Nice to meet you again. We met already in the Kreisky Forum in Vienna. And now, the last keynote is by my friend Dierk Hirschel. There's also this mood, if I talk with people, what's with the trade unions, especially in the so-called still stable and rich countries in Europe. Where's the solidarity? And the German Trade Union Confederation, DGB, had calculated something like a Marshall Plan for Europe. And Dierk Hirschel is chief economist of the German of the DGB, and he now will present us the plan of the German trade unions for a Marshall Plan for Europe, which can contribute to that what James Galbraith said, that we have to stop the destruction of Europe, and maybe not in the next 3 hours, but at least in 1 week beginning. Dirk, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the invitation.
Das kannst du nur hier. Dann musst du dich hierher setzen.
Okay. Thanks a lot for the invitation. First of all, before I'm going to explain the proposal of the German Confederation of Trade Unions, I have to say a few words about what Robert called the destruction of the European economies. Because what we see from the start of austerity is that the austerity approach nearly killed the South European economies. In Greece, we have slowed down economic growth for 4 continuous years now. In Italy, GDP is going down for 2 years. Spain, the same. And when GDP went down, unemployment increased dramatically. Especially the young people in Southern Europe are affected. We have quota of youth unemployment in Greece, as you all know, over 60% now. In Spain, over 50%. So it's the austerity approach nearly killed the South European economies and caused a social catastrophe in these countries. But the problem is that the responsible politicians are not willing to change their strategy. So austerity still goes on, and we have no broad debate about an alternative to this austerity approach, and that's one of our big problems we face now. That's another interesting statistics. If you the guys who are in favor of the austerity approach, when they started the austerity approach, they always said we have to do this because we want to bring down public debts. But the contrary happened. Yeah? The austerity approach increased public debts all over Europe. So the approach completely failed, and what we need now is a debate about alternatives. What's the alternative to the austerity approach? And if we discuss about alternatives, we have to debate about institutional alternatives, long-term alternatives and short-term alternatives. And that's why the DGB German Confederation of Trade Union proposed a Marshall Plan, economic stimulus package for the whole Eurozone. But before I'm going to explain what we proposed, I want to say a few words about the so-called structural reforms. So-called structural reforms have been implemented in Southern Europe, but only a few politicians talk about what's going to happen there. From a unionist point of view, what we see in the South European states is a neoliberal shock therapy, in the way that the unions are attacked, in the way that collective bargaining is attacked. All over Southern Europe we have the situation before the crisis that the coverage rate of collective bargaining was something between 70 and 90%, so it was a very good situation. Unions were able to steer the general wage development, contrary, for example, to my country, where the coverage rate of collective bargaining went down to below 60%, so German unions are not able to steer the general wage development in my country. And what's happening now under the label structural reforms is that this high coverage rate of collective bargaining is crashed by the try to deregulate and deregulate the whole system. And it's just a question of months, just a question of a few years, till the coverage rate of collective bargaining will go down below 50% or something like that in the South European states, and our colleagues will not be able to steer the general wage development anymore. Another important question is the question, why is there no alternative to the austerity approach? Why are the unions, the social democrats all over Europe, why are they not able to fight the austerity approach in an effective way? We're talking about the trade unions. The problem is, from my point of view, that the trade union approach is still a national one. We are not able to generalize our fight against austerity. The Greeks organized their demonstration on Monday. We have manifestations in Spain on Wednesday, and on Saturday you will get a solidarity address from Germany. That's the resistance. That's the resistance against austerity all over Europe. That's a big problem. Further on, the social democrats and socialists are incapable of action since 3 or 4 years, since the start of the austerity approach. There was no clear alternative to the austerity approach from the European socialists and from the European social democrats. We had the situation in Greece or in Spain that socialists implemented the austerity approach. Then they were kicked out of government. Now they are in opposition. In Spain, for example, and they have no credibility if they are blaming the austerity approach of the conservative government in Spain, because they started with the austerity approach a few years ago. So we have, beside the problem that the trade unions are not able to generalize their resistance, we have the problem that the European socialists and social democrats are incapable of action as well. And even the NGOs are not able to mobilize. So the weakness of the opposition is, from my point of view, one of the major reasons why we are not able to stop this austerity approach. And further on, there is no consensus about a common strategy. We have parts of the left, or we have a part of the left that thinks that less Europe is an alternative, and we have another part that thinks that more Europe is the alternative. And till now we have no consensus. Yeah? We still have socialists, social democrats that are in favor of more Europe, and we have a part of the left that thinks that the alternative is less Europe. So no common strategy. And that's why we as Confederation of German Trade Unions made a proposal for a short-term economic stimulus program, for an investment program and development program for Europe. And that's a contribution to the debate about alternatives. Yeah, we tried to promote this so-called Marshall Plan. We are in debate with our colleagues in Italy, in Spain, and in Greece, and in other parts of Europe. So that's just a proposal. That's not finished, but we need a concrete debate about alternatives, and that's why we made this proposal. What are the major points? What we want to do is we want to launch an economic stimulus package that consists out of so-called institutional measures, direct public investment grants for companies, and incentives for consumer spending. We want to fight the high unemployment in Europe, and we want to generate sustainable, secure, good and high quality full-time jobs. We want to combat the crisis. That's why we, from our point of view, need a stimulus in times of the fiscal compact, which is part of the law. And we want to, with the approach of stimulating economic growth, we want to bring down public debt. Major part of this Marshall Plan is, as I already mentioned, the strengthening of private and public demand. Because we think that competitiveness is not a problem. The problem is the lack of demand. And that's why we need to, Jeremy Galbraith already mentioned it, that's why we need to stabilize our economy, and that's why we need to increase the income of private and public households. A major part of our proposal is the reduction of carbon emissions. We want to contribute to the fight against climate change. We want to contribute to the turnaround in energy policy, and we took the so-called energy roadmap of the Commission, Energy Roadmap 2050, and made a proposal how we could reduce the carbon emissions, how we could increase renewable energies, and that's a major part of the so-called Marshall Plan. So we have as I already said, the fight against climate change, European turnaround in energy policy. We want to focus on the modernization of the transportation infrastructure of Europe. We want to expand the broadband networks. We want to invest in public and private sector services. We want to invest in education and training. We want to modernize, or we want to invest in the infrastructures and in housing suitable for the elderly people of our continent, and we want to invest in a sustainable management of water resources. Altogether, we propose to invest 260 billion euros per year over a period of 10 years. So we're talking about total spending of 2,600 billion euros in 10 years. And we made also a proposal regarding the financiation of the Marshall Plan. The idea is that we have to recruit private financial capital. We have approximately 27,000 billion euros of financial wealth in Europe. So a lot more than the total amount of public debts in the Eurozone. And the idea is to launch so-called New Deal bonds, by launching these New Deal bonds, we want to attract private capital in a situation, an economic situation where we have within the Eurozone instability. So there is the interest of pension funds, of insurance company to find secure investment opportunities, yeah? And we try to offer such a secure investment opportunity by these New Deal bonds. And the New Deal bonds are going to finance the what we call European Future Fund, that stimulates investment and demand, and to organize quite low interest rates regarding the New Deal bonds. This European Future Fund needs equity, so we made the proposal to launch a European wealth tax to tax the rich and wealthy Europeans, to mobilize equity of 250 billion. And with this equity, the European Future Fund will be able to offer the low interest rates regarding the New Deal bonds. We also propose to finance the interest revenue by the financial transaction tax. That's just a proposal. And the idea is, with the implementation of this Marshall Plan, to stimulate long-term economic growth all over Europe. We calculated the macroeconomic effects of such a huge investment program, huge European investment program. It would, that's what our scientists calculated, it would organize additional growth of 3% every year over a period of 10 years. It would generate 9 to 11 million high-quality full-time jobs. It would generate 100 billion euros additional tax revenue, additional social insurance contributions, and the fight against climate change would enable the continent to save more than 300 billion euros for fuel imports. So, from our point of view, this Marshall Plan is a clear alternative to the austerity approach we've seen in the last 4 years, which killed the European economies, which is no way out of this crisis, which deepens the crisis. And the Marshall Plan is a short-term alternative. It's not a substitution for structural reforms in Europe. It's no substitution for the re-regulation of financial markets. It's no substitution for the necessity of the creation of a political union within the Eurozone. It's no substitution for the necessity of European coordination of wage policies, of social policies within the Eurozone, but it would help us to get out of the crisis in the short term. So that's why we made this proposal. That's why we promote this this proposal, and that's why we try to mobilize for it. Within the union movement, we have a debate about European referendum. Yeah, like we've seen with the question of water. Yeah, the first successful referendum that was organized by European unions, and that's what we are debating today. That this could be the second referendum about economic stimulus packet, about a way towards a social Europe. Yeah, and that's the proposal of the German Confederation of Trade Unions. Thanks for your attention.